The Wounded Warrior Trials is to select our athletes going forward to compete in the DoD Warrior Games. But it begins actually before the trials, as we host several camps beforehand and making sure the athletes are getting a lot of opportunity to try different events before we get to the trial stage of the selection process. You know, I've been part of the United States Navy for 38 years, both in uniform and out. And I will tell you, this is probably this is the greatest job that I've ever had in that 38 years. It's an honor and a privilege to serve this population. With the wounded, ill, and injured that we have in the program, talking with them throughout this process and watching them grow as a team, grow together. One of the biggest pieces of feedback that we get is just being able to spend time, train, compete with people that have been through similar experiences that they've been through. And it's an absolutely remarkable program for that reintegration and healing process for these folks that they wouldn't normally have. So we have testimony after testimony of how it's impacted their life as a whole, of what that new norm looks like since my illness or my injury. And it's absolutely phenomenal. And again, I'm probably the most privileged person in the United States Navy to have the opportunity to lead this organization.
Good luck this afternoon. Be careful. Thank you. Okay.
Let's go, Anthony. You got this.
Even if you don't think you're a super athlete, even if you don't think that you rate it, you do. You've got this opportunity and you should seize it and find something new in yourself and meet these other people that are just amazing and recognize in the end you're not alone and there's hope. I look forward to someday when I can look back and realize it's been a long time since I woke up and was disappointed that I woke. Because I get that way sometimes. And I look forward to the day when I stop wishing for a do-over.
Athletes on the line for your first competition shot. Load. Begin.
That journey was very stressful and really, really frustrating because I basically had to get used to a new me, and that's more difficult than you would just imagine. I didn't have a choice. I had to adjust my life and change everything and make. VA has just basically made my life together because of therapies and stuff, and they've helped me be comfortable with my new me. And coaches, they're walking me through steps to improve and get bigger. And the bigger picture is I will take it further, and I will keep trying. Before I was kind of stuck, stagnant. I'm just a disabled guy. I felt bad about myself. I felt bad about life, but now I have competition that I'm competing against, which means I will keep moving forward. If I want to win, I keep training, I keep moving. So it's a goal, and I'm working on it.
The initial diagnosis was in December 2015 of spinocerebellar ataxia type 5. And it's since been labeled as atypical, which is medical speak for his cerebellum is atrophying and at an abnormal rate. So the progression of his brain degeneration is significantly disproportionate to the average person with this diagnosis. As we've gone through the med board process, we've found other medical problems such as PTSD and sleep apnea that are not related to the ataxia, and we tackle them as they come up, but they're honestly minor in comparison.
something like this happens, the first thing you lose is, your identity. You lose your sense of self, so to speak. I remember when, I finally found out what was going on, or part of what was going on. I mean, we're still finding out new things as my body deteriorates, but as soon as I found out what was going on about 2 years ago, the first thought that went through my head, I remember distinctly, my short-term memory is not good anymore, but the long-term, I thought to myself, well, my team is out on deployment doing what they do best, and I'm supposed to be at a point in my career where I'm a team lead. So you lose that military identity, and then what is now the primary thoughts or the secondary thoughts at the time, I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to be a good husband? How am I going to be a good father to my children? Woe is me, the whole thing. And then eventually, going through something like this, your priorities just shift. That you deal with the hand that God gave you, and in being amongst, I don't want to say misery loves company. That's the wrong phrase, but it's nice talking to people and the camaraderie of people who are all at a different stage in their rehabilitation.
But the only way to get a point is if your left right swings and gets a kill. For me, it's my way of getting back. Makes me emotional. I don't come from like a military background with my family, and to see these athletes and what they've gone through, and for them to come out with smiles on their faces and laughing and just enjoying the game, it just fills my heart. It just is like, okay, like I'm giving back to people that have fought for our freedom. I'm sharing my joy and my passion for the game, but it's just like there's such bigger things in life. Look at all these people and what they've gone through and stuff like that, and that's just my way of giving back to them to, hopefully fulfill their hearts and fulfill their passion for the game.
Navy team! Navy right! Navy team! Navy right! Navy team! Navy right!
Air Force Trials is an event where we, as Air Force Wounded Warrior Program, bring in about 120 warriors that we support and their caregivers, and over the process of about 10 days, run them through a series of different competitions in order to evaluate where they are performance-wise to select a team to go to represent the Air Force at the DoD Warrior Games. It's a pretty amazing event. The athletes come prepared to compete while it is part of their recovery from whatever their particular illness, injury, or wound is. There's a competitive drive in a lot of the athletes that pushes them to set personal records, and a lot of them have made significant improvement over last year.
I was diagnosed with reflex sympathetic dystrophy in March of 2015 is when it onset. It took about a month to get the diagnosis. I was in Hawaii station at the time, and it came after surgery. It was just a sudden onset. Physically, it's the ability to walk. I have a lot of pain with walking, and days where it is extra humid or extra rainy, I can't walk, and I struggle a lot with that. I want my daughters to understand that it doesn't matter what's going on. You can get through anything. You just need to put in the hard work and the heart and the dedication.
216. Did you very...
the journey from me being in the hospital to where I am right now has been something I never dreamed of. And you know, the first few months or so, you do feel useless, because before the motorcycle accident, I was on top of my game. My career was going amazing. I had amazing vision. I always prided myself on my vision because it was really good. And then to feeling to where you've lost everything that you've kind of built over the last, your entire life. And then you get your fire back and you get back in the game and everything, and it seems like for every one door that's closed, 3 doors, 4 doors, 5 doors have opened of opportunities for me to learn from my injuries and the battle just to get back to a new normal or whatnot. You learn so much and you get to apply it to your life. And not only do I get to apply it to my life, my kids have learned resiliency, and they see what it's like, and they've been able to help, and they've grown pretty strong, pretty mature for their age and everything. And then it's brought us closer together as a couple, and there's nothing we can't get through together, honestly, after this.
You know, as caregivers, we don't really participate much. You know, we're the cheerleaders of the program. And so that's, of course, why I obliged to do this. And I was spent after doing the rowing. And yeah, huge appreciation, because I am completely able-bodied, and you know, to think of someone who's not completely able-bodied doing this, it must be so much, so much more tough. So it's nice to have a little taste, but I'll leave that to him. We'll leave the medaling to him.
She did phenomenal, and I kept yelling at her and crazy. But she was focused, driven. She put up some good numbers, not as good as me, but I mean, they're okay. Now, she worked hard, she did great. You can't expect anybody to do, well, I didn't expect her to do as well as she did third time on a rower. My third time on a rower was awful. My first time at camp, the coach was like, "What are you doing? Stop doing this." So how natural of an athlete she is, I was incredibly impressed. And she worked hard. I knew she was going to kill it. We've all had similar obstacles, and even with the caregivers, I noticed that with my wife, with Denise, that it was something it was something needed more than I realized it was there. Initially, I thought she was coming to be my caregiver to help me out, but then I realized how much it was doing for her, what she was getting from other spouses, and it flipped a switch in both of us, honestly. Just knowing people you're not alone it's a nice feeling. It's a terrible feeling to think you're alone. It's a great feeling to know you're not.
Seeing him happy makes me happy. So like he said, we've brought this home. Now we do wheelchair basketball together, where I never thought I'd get in a wheelchair because I see him doing it. I'm just there for, moral support, yell at him here and there. But when they told me, oh, you can do it too, and then we get to meet other people who are also impaired or going through other things, and they also don't have probably people who they can kind of relate to, and we might not be in the same situation because they've probably been in those chairs for a long time, but they also need an outlet or new people to be friends with or talk to or whatever it is, and we need that too. So it's, we don't have the same support, but we've been finding that, going back home, finding adaptive sports where they have that. It's our joy, it's things that we find here, we're taking it there, we're implying it, and we're doing that with other people that they've never thought that able people are going to want to go play wheelchair with them. And now, we're building little families there.
I don't find it as a difficulty being her caregiver, because I'm two caregivers, Ella and with Lisa, but we actually are pretty much a team. Like, she takes care of Ella and I'll take care of her, or, flip or vice versa and stuff like that. So to me, I don't see it as a challenge. It's just, it's my norm, it's my everyday.
When you kind of build the shell around you, which as Wounded Warriors, we just instantly do so easily. And as the week progresses, we get to know each other. We realize that even if maybe our injuries are different, but the way that we feel about them is the same, or we could have the same injury or illness and react totally different. By the end of the week, we realize how similar that we are, how much that we need each other, how much of a true family that we are for each other. And you walk away at the end of the week with 100 new people in your family that are there to take care of you and ready to help you through your next challenge.
Military adaptive sports absolutely save lives. For myself, 3 days before coming out here, I was at the AFW2 office telling them that I didn't want to go. Not because I didn't want to compete, but I didn't want to leave home. I didn't want to come out and be around people. I love the fact that I'm able to come out here and compete, but the things surrounding it, I was really reluctant into doing because I was being such a hermit. But I got out here and my teammates just kept on pushing me to keep on going. And even people that I don't even know were just telling me that you can do it. So it's really rewarding to tell somebody I'm not feeling well and then get that text message and see that they're there for you.
I knew military adaptive sports and just sports in general would benefit me probably from the first 2 weeks that I was in the hospital. It's a great way to test yourself when, after you get injured in a physical capacity, you don't know what you're going to be capable of doing after that. So the only way to find that out is to test yourself. And so sports are a great way to test that. And they're also a great way to establish and continue to have camaraderie among fellow competitors, whether they're military or not. It's incredibly therapeutic for a lot of folks to be able to spend time with people that are struggling in the same way as them. Makes you feel less isolated. And then on top of that, you can share techniques, tricks, and that kind of thing that you may not have thought of, or maybe something that you're struggling with. Somebody else has experience in that realm, so you can greatly improve your quality of life just by seeing what other people are doing. And then on top of that, you see somebody that's performing at a high level, then you can kind of use that to envision yourself kind of rising up to that level as well and opening up new possibilities for yourself.
The best part of the Marine Corps trials for me has been watching my husband compete again and being just proud of himself and watching him have the drive to want to get out there and do it, and really seeing him socializing again. And he doesn't get the chance to really socialize like he used to.
The best part of the Marine Corps trials for me has been competing again. Watching all of the other athletes come out and really put forth their all. Seeing all the other athletes come out and show their support, the camaraderie, meeting everybody, from everywhere, really. The bringing the culture together has been absolutely an amazing time.
1, 2, 3, thug life!
The best part about these Marine Corps trials for me has been just the sheer joy that it's brought me. The joy of competing, winning and losing, it doesn't matter. It's, the joy of competing, the joy of that camaraderie, the joy of having to wake up early to practice, the soreness, the exhaustion, everything that I've done here, it's just brought me pure joy one way or the other. I thought I was just going to come here to learn sports and meet friends, but everybody keeps talking about the Warrior Games, and I haven't done too bad, and I'd love to go to the Warrior Games. That sounds amazing. The Invictus Games, that sounds amazing. And it gives everyone that that, even more purpose, so it's, well, now I gotta train because maybe next year, maybe not this year, but maybe next year or the year after, maybe if I work really hard, I can make it to that level. And I think that really pushes a lot of other guys and gals that, they're in the same boat as me. So maybe I'll go to Australia. Maybe I'll get to meet Prince Harry, and shake his hand. That'd be really cool.
These trials have been life-changing for me for the last 3 years. It's been really hard to try to get out of the house and get involved and go do something because there's really nothing out here like this. And then when you're out and you're around, you're really not around other veterans that understand what you're going through. I've been through that. It's really hard to find that. Coming here, there's no judgment, no questions asked, no, hey, how'd you get hurt? There's nothing of that. It's just come in. What's your name? Hey, where are you from, man? What have you been doing? And you just bond together. You talk about stories, and then you start getting. Then eventually, as a couple of days of trials go by, and you've been team events and single, you start learning more about their families, what they've been through individually, what their struggles are, and then you realize that we're both the same. It's pretty awesome.
It's definitely been a life-changing event for me as well, knowing that there are actually other spouses that are going through the same thing I am, maybe not with the same issues as far as what our husbands are having to deal with, but it's nice to know I'm not the only one that I have struggles sometimes as a caregiver and as a spouse. It's been great being able to just sit down and talk and actually just be ourselves and not have to put on a show for each other. Like, we actually can open up, and if we want to shed tears, we can shed tears. If we want to laugh, we can laugh. And it's been wonderful for me as well.
I'm not really sure where I would be at or the type of person I would be if it wasn't for adaptive sports. I spent 2 years in a hospital, right after my injury, trying to figure out who I was going to be. It was very hurtful for me to lose the Marine Corps. I really cared much about that job. I was a big-time wrestler. I knew I wasn't ever going to be able to wrestle again. There was quite a few things that, kind of had me seeing the negative parts of life at that point. I was like, you can't do anything. What are you going to be able to accomplish with your life now? So the right people came along and introduced me to adaptive sports. And since then, I've done some really, really remarkable things through adaptive sports. And so that's why I'm such an advocate for it. I try to go out here and I try to talk to these guys and listen, life may seem like it sucks right now, but one of the first things you need to do is go out here and start enjoying life.
What we do with our adaptive sports camps throughout the year, one is we've already had a selection process that brought together the members of the Special Operations Command's Wounded Warrior population that would be participants in the Department of Defense Warrior Games that's upcoming here in June at Colorado Springs. It's hosted by the Air Force this year. So we've already made that selection. This camp that we're running right now is for those that have been selected to prepare themselves for that camp. But we do adaptive sports events throughout the year, a variety of venues, and across the soft footprint, which is across the country and actually also overseas. But the best part we see out of adaptive sports is the way the guys work with each other. It's the camaraderie, it's the shared, it's commiseration to some degree sometimes when they're dealing with stuff, but it's that ability to get together. There's in special operations, there's a team kind of unity, and that team room kind of concept comes to play here when we're doing adaptive sports events.
Adaptive sports has helped me in my recovery by, giving me plans of training plans. My coaches give me great plans to train for. So I have not only a sport to try to get better at, but I have a training plan to follow. And we have great coaches that give us great guidance. So the training plans that we're given by our coaches give me a good focus on the particular sports that I'm playing or participating in, and kind of gives me a good plan for week to week. How I got involved with the whole adapted sports, I had no clue it even existed. And being that I was part of a SOCOM entity, they were like, hey, you know, you should be in this program because you fall into this category. And I did, but at that point in time I was already active duty, and the Navy kind of had said I could stay in at that point. So now I'm here and I'm participating. So adaptive sports definitely has helped in my home life because you know, having these training plans and being able to train does make me smile at the end of the day. You know, knowing that I'm improving, so my wife does see that you know, I come home happy and not so frustrated.
The opportunity to go to the Warrior Games this year is, for me, it's a really special thing. I have actively been part of the SOCOM adaptive sports team for 3 years now, and the first 2 years I was supposed to go, and the first time surgery came up, and then the second time I was trying to re-enlist in PCS, and so it just didn't really work out. So finally, for this year to be able to compete at Warrior Games for Team SOCOM it's something that's super important to me, to be able to give back to an organization that has given me a lot of support over my recovery and rehabilitation. To be able to represent them at a competition like that is just something that means a lot to me personally.
Luckily, USSOCOM kind of understands our community, so being out here with the men and women from our community and just competing, sharing stories, having that camaraderie again is just so worthwhile and meaningful while you're out there trying to enhance what our capabilities are to compete at the Warrior Games. Obviously, I am looking for the competition at the Warrior Games, just like a lot of the people from our community, but you know, it's just the camaraderie, getting out there and just helping push, you know, the brothers and sisters on your left and right. You know, one of the things that's a hallmark of our USSOCOM community is that, you know, we're focused on the mission, but we're equally focused on the man and the woman on our left and right. It's a brotherhood, sisterhood, it's a team environment. So I think that's the key to me, honestly.
Go! 40.
As far as like the wheelchair racer, how's it going to get me back to where I was before my injury, mentally and physically? Physically, it helps me stay in shape. Before I was injured, I was a big runner, so this is probably about the closest running as I'll get. So physically, it's good, and then mentally, I mean, it's a release. It helps me, you know, get out and do stuff. And then as far as for recreational, I mean, it's good because my wife likes to bike, and so does my daughter, so I can get out and bike with them on that.
All right, that's what I'm talking about.
Very, very, very excited about the fact that the Department of Defense has given us the mantle of leadership to host the 2019 Warrior Games, and we're going to do it right here in Tampa Bay. It was, you know, all the programs have had their chance. We had, it was coming up on our turn. General Thomas, you know, said, "What do you think? Think we can do it?" I said, "Boss, I think that we've got a tremendously supportive community here." He knows that very well because he deals with them on a routine basis. And it was like, "Let's do it." So he went to the department and said, "Let's go." And the department said, "Okay, SOCOM, you got it." We are going to have sport venues going on that go through the full gamut of Warrior Games. There'll be wheelchair basketball, there'll be seated volleyball, there'll be archery, there'll be tennis, wheelchair rugby, indoor rowing, track and field, golf. I mean, you're going to see everything that we can do, and you'll see people doing it when they have to do it with adaptation, and you're going to see people doing it when they can do it dealing with potentially a hidden injury. So, and all those classifications are fairly delivered, but you will see some tremendous sport, and you'll see some tremendous people doing it.